What is going on, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we are doing a brand new political process live stream. I know you guys have been wanting a political process live stream for a little bit, so definitely we are going to get started on this. I already started out my character as Sean Irwin. He is 30 years old. We are going to be coming out of Wichita County, Texas, in North Texas. This is actually the county that is home to the city of Wichita Falls. It's actually my hometown. So we are going to be coming out of State House District 69, that's funny, State Senate District 30, and Congressional District 13, which actually spans from Wichita Falls all the way up to Amarillo. So we would be a congressional representative for that entire area, but the first race we're going to try to go for today, as a mayor of Wichita Falls, by the way, we are the mayor of the city of Wichita Falls. So basically we are going to be running for Senate today. So it is 2015. I believe we actually don't have a campaign until 2018. Okay, so it actually got us into the wrong year, unfortunately. So we're gonna have a little bit of time to actually fundraise during this time in which we wait for the year 2018. So we have a couple of years to actually do this. Let's, for one thing, we're gonna ignore some of the policies for today, see what the city council actually proposes. Yeah, first, saw that this morning, but there was actually something about President Trump actually getting diagnosed with COVID, and that's actually confirmed. He actually did confirm it. So wonder where you guys' thoughts are. Don't know if you guys even care about Donald Trump, if you guys are in support of him, something like that. Let's do 100% campaign fundraising throughout the week. So we are going to... We have a run for re-election as a mayor, so let's actually go ahead and run for re-election, and we are going to use Frida Carter as our campaign manager, and then we're going to go over to here to economics. We're going to increase the minimum wage. We're going to do a tax policy, reduce city property taxes, and then we're going to go to poverty, reduce poverty. That's 16%. So update on this political process, actually right here we actually see that it shows our position and what our campaign is actually going for. So we are going for mayor of Wichita Falls. We have $2,640 in the bank. Let's go over to finance. Let's go to donate personal funds, and let's give ourselves $500,000. It's gonna probably be a campaign winner just with the money alone. Let's do door knocking. Crime is pretty bad here. Addressing the crime level should be a major priority, so we can actually change our thing. So let's do crime, since the first two voter comments actually were about crime. So let's go over here to crime. Let's go to crime, and then reduce crime is going to be our #1 priority. And then let's do more phone banking. Let's do more phone banking over door knocking, and then let's do a little bit of fundraising. Yard signs we're definitely gonna ignore. We're not running for president or anything like that. All right, we're looking at our first mayor budget. We have a deficit of $1.69 million, so we're gonna go ahead and clear that. Going to clear that deficit that we actually have. So let's do tobacco tax, actually. Ooh, that's actually going to get us a lot of money. Let's go ahead and raise $6.1 million. That basically gets our deficit out of the way and then gives us an extra $4.5 million just with the tobacco tax alone. But let's go ahead and do a sin tax. So let's go ahead and raise, I guess, another, if I put this at $1 exactly, we're going to raise another $3.5 million for the city budget. So that means we could actually go over here. Let's $7.7 million. If we could actually, instead of just giving our police, the actual police budget an increase, let's do police intelligence, actually. Let's go ahead and put that at about $1 million. Fire department, and we can do more training. for our boys in red. Fire department equipment and maintenance supply. Let's give them an additional $300,000. And then public safety. Emergency management operations. Since we are actually in Tornado Alley, let's go ahead and max that out. Wichita Falls was actually a victim to a very deadly tornado back in the 1970s, actually. So, and I actually have two parents that were actually affected by that tornado outbreak. You could actually look it up. It's called the 1979 April, it was like Deadly April or something like that, but there was a huge tornado outbreak back in 1979, and whenever that happened, it basically ripped through the entire cities of Vernon, Electra, and then it made its way a little bit south, and this was like about like 15 different tornadoes that actually came out of this storm, and then damaged Electra, Vernon, and then it went all the way down to Wichita Falls and destroyed nearly the entire southern section of the city. So there was a huge amount of damage from that tornado outbreak that literally almost both of my parents were killed in. So looks like I'm lucky to have made it out of that way. Transportation, let's look at this. Let's do an additional $200,000 to that. Let's do $300,000 to maintenance, and then traffic lights and operations. Let's do an additional $200,000. And then let's go ahead and submit that budget. That's going to be our budget. 2 bills are going to be proposed to the city council. Looks like they're probably going to be able to get passed. Yep. Yeah, we actually don't even have a single Democrat on the city council. It's all Republicans. So we are a completely Republican city, safe Republican. Who do you think won the debates? I don't think anyone won the debates. I think that debate was just complete garbage. There was a couple of points where I believe the President of the United States actually made a couple of good points. Especially if you kind of like really listen to him, but then he kind of just started going off on these other tangents, and it really pissed me off. So he did good, but he also did horribly. So he didn't really help that many people get that much of a change of heart, I guess. So it was Trump if I had to choose a winner. Yeah, if I had to choose a winner between Chris Wallace, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump, I would definitely pick Donald Trump. Chris Wallace definitely did pretty good in that debate. He was definitely throwing some stuff that he shouldn't have, but yeah, thank you. No, I'm just kidding. I think Chris Wallace is pretty good. I think people are just giving him a hard time because he's the moderator, and people always try to crap on the moderator whenever that happens. Let's go ahead and go over here. Jail sentences for drug criminals. Let's go ahead and eliminate that sentencing, because basically you're throwing people in jail for no reason. It honestly, in my sense of views, drugs is basically a mental health and health problem. It's more of a health issue than a criminal issue, especially if you're addicted to it. Just because you're addicted to it doesn't mean you should be thrown in jail. And I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican. I mean, I've voted not really straight Republican, but I've been voting consistently Republican since 2016. And I mean, even I believe that it's more of a health issue than an actual criminal issue. If you're selling and all of that, I think that it's more, it really depends, because not everyone is doing it just because they want to like do that. It's because they're doing it because they need the money. And I'm not saying everyone does that because they need the money. Most of the time it's always because of the money, but reasoning is usually a case-by-case basis. But let's go ahead and support this law. It's going to be passed 5-0. No one did good in that debate. Yeah, I know. You live in northern Texas? Yes, I do, actually. Northern Texas is I'm not going to tell you exactly what city I'm in, but I will tell you the region that I'm in. It's a very nice region, honestly. The North Texas has like always been kind of like my home. nowhere else that I've actually ever been in my life. So it's something that's really nice, I guess. Funding for local drug courts. Looks like the state of Texas is actually doing it. The city is not doing it, but if we did do a city thing, then basically we would be taking some of the money off of the state, but then we would also be incurring a little bit of it, but it would still be split by the state, so we wouldn't be spending that much on it, and then we could just still improve the metrics that we have. Speaking of metrics, let's go ahead and check on our metrics. This is going to be the city metrics. Let's have an approval rating, government approval rating of 74.1%. Economy 71.2%, education 64.6%, poverty 80.6%, taxes 56.5%, health 83.9%, crime 84.6%, infrastructure 63%, and then department effectiveness is going to be 96%. So that's my biggest positive value. Then we have, going year by year, looks like police is 80% approved, city administration is 100. So city administration, fire department, city courts, and judiciary, and city services are all 100%. So our only downside is actually our police effectiveness. Who do you think is going to win the Texas Senate race? And if you were referencing to 2020, I do believe that John Cornyn will win his Senate race. It's, honestly, Texas was more of a fluke back in 2018 whenever it became so close. Beto is not that bad of a candidate, and it really resonated with a lot of voters, especially whenever the younger people are starting just now becoming voters. So one of the biggest things about that is that, yeah, Beto O'Rourke was actually a really good candidate, but MJ Hagar, who is actually running against John Cornyn this year, MJ Hagar is not that much of a resonating candidate. I've not really heard that much about her. I haven't seen that many ads of her, and the polls are really showing that MJ Hagar is not really going to win this Senate race because she's not the same as Beto O'Rourke. So with Donald Trump winning at least around 5 points within Texas, I do believe John Cornyn could win between 5 to 10 points. He could actually outperform the president of the United States in the state of Texas because John Cornyn is more of a actual conservative candidate, and he can actually win his Texas voters. Whenever John Cornyn actually leaves office, that's going to be more of an issue because that's whenever the Democrats could actually seize the seat in Texas because Texas is going to flip blue very sometime within the next 10 to 20 years. And I believe that whenever John Cornyn actually leaves, or Ted Cruz actually leaves, whenever one of those candidates, basically one of those senators actually leaves their seat, that's going to be the prime opportunity for Democrats to actually flip those seats. Whenever they're in those seats, I highly doubt that they would be able to do that. Let's go ahead and raise the minimum wage to $9. It's going to be above the federal minimum wage. We're even going to be going above the state minimum wage, but that does mean that, so federal minimum wage actually might go up this year, because usually that's whenever these bills are usually passed. They're usually passed within the first year. So first year as a senator or as a state or federal representative, usually it's not that fun because you're usually getting through all of the policies that you usually have on the table. That's really why I want more policies to be added into the game, because there's not that many policies that you can really do. But whenever you add more of these policies, the more bugs that actually come out of it. So I understand that he's not adding them as much as he would have. So let's go ahead and support that legislation. Even if it does, it's going to be back to red in 2024. I highly doubt that Texas is actually going to be even close to becoming, I guess, let me look, 15,000 seats. All right, and we basically win our election. Don't really have to do anything else. Decrease minimum wage from $9 to $8. What was that? Oh, God, that's probably going to be vetoed. I'm going to go ahead and veto that legislation, but it has been overturned with a 2/3 majority vote, and they've successfully lowered my minimum wage bill. So that sucks. One of the downsides of being in a completely Republican city. City budget process is finished and a new budget has been passed by the city council. You'll be able to view the new budget at the beginning of the year under the budget tab in the metrics tab, whatever. Yesterday, it was reported that Hagar raised $13.5 million in 3 months. She probably actually outraised her opponent. Let me actually look at the fundraising metrics that are in the Texas Senate race. See, that's what political process actually needs to do. They really need to show what the numbers are for fundraising on the other side. I really would like some sort of metric where if I wanted to go to a Senate race or something like that. Oh, look at that. Well, actually, this is pretty along the lines of like what it's like IRL. Only Arizona's split, except that's probably going to change. So if I wanted to go over to a politician, Isaiah Anderson, let's say that I wanted to go over to his, I mean, there could be another metric like right here that would say fundraising, and it would show what kind of fundraising he's been doing during this time, and especially whenever it becomes an election year. That would be definitely be really cool. So he was a legal analyst, and then he became a lawyer, city council member for 1 term. He was a state representative for 1 term. He was a 3-term state senator, then became a 4-term U.S. representative, and then has now become a 3-term U.S. senator for the state of Kentucky. He is actually the Senate Majority Leader, elected in 2015, and then has served until 2017. So he's still the Majority Leader, and then we have the Majority Whip, which is Walt Mason. So if I go over here, he was a college administrator in his early days. So if I actually go over to my profile and then go over to my history, I was the president of a small business company from 2004 to 2009. In 2009, the 2009 financial crisis actually hit, and then the business that he owned had failed. And then after that, that encouraged him to run for the district attorney's office of his local district attorney, and then he was actually elected district attorney from 2011 and then served until 2015. And then after that, he became the mayor of Wichita Falls, which, man, that became a bug. Did not mean to do that. That's one of the biggest things about doing some of this history. But I wanted to try out the history thing, so kind of screwed up a little bit there. Did not think that he got elected in 2012. Yikes. So let's watch the Democratic presidential primary. So we're gonna skip out on that. A debate has been organized. Would you like to participate in the debate? This is going to be viewed by 5,296 viewers. So let's focus on the party's commitments. Let's do that, and then let's go to the election. Definitely outvoting this person way beyond what they are comfortable with. 75 points to 25 points, basically. 19,438 votes to 6,607 votes. Unfortunately, the Democrats continue to lose in these mayoral elections in Wichita Falls. So let's go to 2016. Let's see if there's a Senate race. So city laws, all of those go into effect, so that's good. That means my budget is still what it needs to be. Then minimum wage got changed to $9 an hour and then to $8 an hour, so I guess that's a little bit of a compromise there. State law is going to affect the income tax, establishes and begins collecting an income tax. The tax rates for each state bracket are as follows. First, so that sucks that, see, that's one of the biggest things. I mean, Texas does not have a state income tax, so there is a prime opportunity to make the state income tax. And then, so let me go over to metrics. Let's go over to states, and let's go over to budget. definitely raised a lot of money. The state of Texas is spending about $61 billion right now in terms of their state budget, but they are making $94 million just because they got that state income tax. So if I actually go over here, look at that. State income tax raised almost $36 billion, just about $5 billion less than the actual state sales tax. So that means we actually started out with a 0, so that was 0, and then it went all the way up to 33% of the revenue by source. So if you actually put it on a pie chart, then it will show that the state income tax accounts for 38.1% of the state income. So that kind of sucks for the people because it does really hurt their per capita income. So you can actually see that their per capita income was actually affected by about $90, at least right now. So it's actually growing a little bit more than $90. So people are going to be losing out on probably thousands of dollars per year if this keeps up. Maybe you can even go into state politics, but I was really wanting to go for senator. So we got state senator, state representative, U.S. House representative, and then a party chair for the State House Campaign Committee. So we're actually going to skip out on this election. Still going to be going for U.S. Senate. So we got $7.5 million. That is ours. So let's actually lower the city property tax. We're going to do that. That's awesome. Only got rid of a couple, like about $3 million, but that did basically complete a campaign promise for us, so we can reduce it. U.S. House and then U.S. Senate in 2018. Well, that doesn't really make sense because I mean, I just won an election for my mayoral seat, so why would I just give up my mayoral seat that I just spent so much money on for a House seat and then go in the House only for one term to go up to U.S. Senator? We're gonna be making our way downtown, walking fast. We're gonna oppose that. Okay, did not get the 2/3 that it needed to override my veto. Increases prison sentence from that 3 to 2, so let's go ahead and oppose it again. Good thing there's some division within the Republican Party of Wichita Falls. Do you want to watch the presidential election? Let's go ahead and watch it. Alright, North Carolina goes red, Virginia goes blue, Ohio goes red, Missouri goes red, Pennsylvania goes blue, that's big, Arizona stays red, Michigan goes red, Wisconsin is going to be the teller. Yep, Wisconsin definitely threw the Republican candidate right over the top, 270 electoral votes. Nevada actually went Republican this year. Florida actually went Republican. New Hampshire and Maine actually went Republican. The split electoral votes in Nebraska and Maine are actually not simulated in this game yet, so that kind of sucks that they aren't. So the entire state of Maine has to give all 4 electoral votes over to the candidate that actually wins their at-large district, basically. Same thing with Nebraska. There are no split electoral votes over there, so they actually have to give all of the 4 electoral votes that they actually have over to the Republican or Democratic candidate. Ooh, actually, I just noticed that Colorado actually went blue or red. Basically, same electoral share from the actual election. 306 electoral votes to 232 electoral votes, but the person who actually won the Electoral College in 2016 actually won the popular vote. So he got 306 electoral votes, but actually won the popular vote by about 3 million votes. So basically, it's the 2016 election in some sort of reverse scenario. Basically, Republican candidate still wins the Electoral College, but wins by almost the exact same margin that Hillary Clinton lost by, or won the popular vote by. I want impeachment so bad. Yeah, that would be fun. So 2017. Let's create the city budget. $2.5 million is how much we're getting. Let's do a wheel tax. Let's do $70 per wheel. That's going to net us about $3 million, I believe. It's going to net us about $7.5 million, actually, but we were treading along the lines of having a deficit over there. So let's go ahead and do that. Just one bill for this one. It gets passed by the city council. Let's go ahead and accept it. Which state are you in? We are in Wichita Falls, Texas. And we are currently going over to the year 2018 because we are going to be running for federal Senate, actually. We're going to be running for the Senate seat in Texas. All right. Following elections will take place: State House, Governor, U.S. House, and then U.S. Senate Class 1. Let's go ahead and go over. And then if we are going to primary our current U.S. Senator, then let's so do it. Let's do Frida Carter for our campaign manager, and then let's do economic. Let's do reduce the income tax. Let's reduce poverty. And let's reduce crime. So we're going to be going for Senator of Texas. So let's do some polling. Let's do voter intention, policy support. Let's do approval rating, name recognition, policy support, voter enthusiasm, and then let's do priorities. And then let's get public opinion on economy, education, taxes, poverty, guns and crime, and that's going to be it that anyone really cares about. Sean Irwin, 67% approval rating, and then voter intention is going to be 99% for Melanie Calzada. Calzada is going to be the incumbent U.S. Senator that is currently in office. Voter enthusiasm, 68% for me, and then we have healthcare, economy, and then budget. So we have healthcare. Let's do Social Security. Budget. Let's reduce the national deficit. And then taxes. Reduce the income tax. Let's go all the way down. And let's support Medicaid. An expanded Medicaid program, because a lot of Republican voters actually are kind of split on that in the game. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's go over to finances, see how much I'm making a week, and then let's go over to staff. Let's max out my staff. We're going to be incurring about $19,000 per week, so let's keep the budget the same, I guess. Jesus, people, you should realize he's GOP in North Texas. Yes, I am. All right, so let's go over to campaign. Let's Williamson, Galveston County. Let's conservative and a conservative. This is mainly because of the primary that we're trying to do. Brazos County. 160,000 people only know about me, so if I can actually get my name out there. Let's do internet ads. 8 million people got my name off of that, and then let's do some television ads. Got a lot of Democratic support off that. And then let's start opening some field offices. So we're going to be doing phone banking. Let's definitely do some door knocking, and then let's do fundraising on the side as well. Getting several $100,000 per turn, actually. $300,000 in my primarying right now. $900,000 total donation history. So see, this is what I want to see for other players. I want to see what their fundraising numbers are doing. Let's do this and economic growth. $100,000. That actually really got a lot of Republican support. Let's go over to poll data, and then let's do voter intention. See what the voter intention actually is going to be now. 31% to 68%, so we're kind of doing a little bit better. Rallies. Let's try to do some actual rallying. 100 people. And marketing, internet ads. Let's do more internet ads. Let's do $1 million. 15 million people actually got my name off of that. Let's do another voter intention poll. And then let's see. We are actually ahead. Just because of that, we are actually ahead in voter intentions. So that means that we still actually have a dying chance of actually winning this election. Let's go over to marketing, television ads. Let's do economic growth. $500,000 into that. 65% off of the Republicans. Politics gaming is literally on his birth certificate. Yes, that is exactly the name that I got on my birth certificate. That is definitely it. Campaign funds. Wow, look how much money we have. The elections, especially federal races, are usually the biggest milkers. I guess that's the term I'm going to use. Like, they're usually the best ways to actually get so much money in this game. Minimum wage, let's do that. Let's get some of that lucrative Democratic support. We actually hold on to that Democratic support throughout the campaign. We could actually win that Democratic support in the actual general election. That means we could actually win counties such as Travis, Harris, even Dallas County. In some sort of way. Let's go ahead and open 10 more field offices and go off of those. Has run an ad attacking your policy regarding income taxes. Let's go ahead and check on your things. Social Security. All right, that's all we needed to know. That's all we needed to know. Thank you so much for having that policy on Social Security, because no one likes that. Let's go ahead and launch a couple of attack ads. Let's invest $1 million into attacking her positions on Social Security. And let's hit her on that. Let's do poll data, and let's do not voter intention. Voter enthusiasm, and then intention, 52 to 47. So this primary is going to be very, very close. Education, we are lacking on our views on education. Don't know what my views on that are right now, because since I set everything to be a conservative, we really need to hammer down our positions on Social Security and be like, hey, my opponent doesn't like it, but I like it. You know how you can automate your ads and events? Yes, I actually do. I just like to be more specific. It's kind of a little bit better if I actually just kind of manage it myself, because since I've was playing this game before that feature was actually released, I believe it kind of helps me out a little bit more if I actually just kind of do it myself. Minimum wage, let's do $400,000. Got a little bit of Republican backlash on that. Let's do economic growth. $500,000 into economic growth. And Social Security, $300,000. Let's see how much money I have left. $1.2 million. Getting $600,000 per turn. I know I'm for a Medicaid expansion, so let's drop $500,000 into that. Got a little bit of Republican support, and then let's do one last voter intention poll. That means 52 to 48. We have a pretty good shot at winning this election. Let's do one last attack ad on her. Let's do that on Social Security. Let's drop $500,000 into an attack ad on her. All right. And let's go ahead and do the next turn. See who wins this primary. All right, she's now in the lead, 61%, but her lead is actually diminishing. We take the lead very late into the election, and we win the election. Sean Irwin wins the Senate primary election for the state of Texas, 1.47 million votes to 1.37 million votes. We won by about looks like 100,000 votes separated our candidates in this primary election. So that is awesome that we win our first primary, big primary. Just some dude just came out of the forest and beat one of the biggest senators in the United States. Now we will be facing off against Odin Goldberg, 957,000 votes to 908,000 votes against Preston Pierce. So we are going to be facing off against Goldberg in this election. Let's go ahead and go. Congratulations on winning your primary election. The hard part is over. The party demographics are in your favor, so as long as you do not anger the Republican base in the state of Texas or lose too many independent votes, you will very likely win the election. So again, we really don't have to worry about our chances in this, except I do want to win places such as Dallas County and Harris County. So we're going to have a long sit down when we actually have our election. Definitely going to be pursuing on this turnout. State House Representative Victor Chelge is actually our state representatives, Texas District 69. You have received 207,000 votes, so we're going to be milking as much money and turnout we can actually do. So we're at 30,000 turnout. It's not like Kamala would control all of that as like a shadow president. Oh yeah, she would. This is officially my favorite CPP stream of all time. Hell yeah. We really need to look at our healthcare again. Look at that. Look at that. Well, that's actually healthcare. Universal healthcare, Medicaid expansion. I actually do have Medicaid expansion that I actually do support. So let's drop $5 million into that. Democrats really like that. Republicans really liked it. Let's oppose that piece of legislation. $24 million right now. We're getting $2 million per turn right now. Wow. Big wow. 6, 5, 4, 3 weeks. We've got 50,000 voters on our side. And let's do marketing. Let's do poverty. $5 million into that, and then let's do health, Medicaid expansion. Let's do $10 million into that. All right, so let's go to the next day. This is going to be our debates, and then let's advocate for modern. No, let's go ahead and advocate for that. We just need the Republican voters in the state of Texas. This doesn't really matter. $110,000 off of that. Let's do a local newspaper. Let's put about our candidate questionnaire to provide readers with an overview of each candidate's policies. Would you like to participate in this questionnaire? There are going to be 5.5 million readers of that questionnaire. So let's do all rallies and then all fundraisers. $122,000 in our last fundraiser. And then let's do one last thing. Let's say we're going to raise minimum wage. Or actually, let's just tout our policies on economic growth, I guess. We're going to do $2.5 million into that. And let's see what our election results are. All right, we got our first blue county. Actually just went that entire general election without taking one general election poll, so this is going to be a complete surprise to me. So if I lose, it's definitely going to be my fault. But there has to be a lot of unusual circumstances to actually lose a Senate race like this. I actually won a Senate race as a Democrat in Texas. I actually did win basically by a landslide, but whenever the re-election bid actually came up, I actually lost. Looks like we lost Dallas County. We lost El Paso County. Looks like a lot of the blue is starting to happen all along the border counties of the state of Texas. We are at about 53% of the vote counted now. Definite win for the Republican candidate. We are winning, leading by about 500,000 votes. Travis County, we won Harris County. Huh. No wonder the Republicans, for some reason, win these elections by such a large margin. Damien, thank you so much for that donation. But yeah, watch. Travis County is actually going to go blue. Dallas County is already blue. But Harris County right here, that's supposed to be blue as well. That's literally home to Houston. Houston is literally right here. And this county is supposed to be blue, but I guess it's going to be red. For some reason, Harris County is pretty conservatively Republican in this game. All right, election is now finishing up. 58.4% of the vote to 41.6% of the vote. Very comfortable win for the Republican candidate in the state of Texas, Sean Irwin. Senator Sean Irwin has won his seat for the U.S. Senate. We have defeated Odin Goldberg, 2.2 million votes against 3.16 million votes. 100% of the vote counted. And again, 58.4% of the vote to 41.6% of the vote. You have won its election. You did a great job. Your new term will begin at the first week of the year. All information and responsibilities to your new office can be found in the office tab, and good luck. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next couple of weeks. Welcome to your first term as a U.S. Senator. This is your office. This is where you will conduct all of your Senate responsibilities. Whenever an activity is added to your schedule, you can find it in the summary tab within the office tab. If you want to create legislation, you can go to the legislation tab and click on the tab that says create legislation. If you have made any campaign promises, you can find those in the challenge tab. Good luck. All right, so let's go ahead and ignore all of these. These are just pertaining to the first week of the year as the mayor of Wichita Falls. So let's go to the nomination process for the party leader. And then we have Walt Mason, Cornelius Thorne, and then Isaiah Anderson. Isaiah Anderson actually sounds pretty familiar. We are not going... Well, we could actually... Let's run for the party leadership position. We actually have 27,000 political points, so we can actually probably get a couple of votes in here. Actually, we don't even get a single vote, so let's go ahead and vote for ourselves. All right, looks like Isaiah Anderson is going to be the party leader for the Senate, so he's going to become the Senate Majority Leader, mostly because we probably didn't get a single vote because we are still very, very new. This is our first term in office, so we got pretty ballsy to throw our hat in a ring for that. Party leadership introduction, let's go ahead and ignore that. Party nominees for caucus chair. So we have a libertarian fiscally, or you have a conservative fiscally. Wow, look at that guy's smile. He is beautiful. I am not going to run for that. I am going to vote for my boy, Aubrey Hackett. Oh, Aubrey Hackett. Dang it, he's not going to be able to win. Let's go ahead and... Oh, man, I need to put him somewhere. Esteemed senator from Utah with that beautiful smile of his. I am going to definitely vote for him. Unfortunately, he did not win, so looks like Walker Herman is going to be our esteemed caucus chairperson. But before we actually leave today, let's go ahead and check on the status of the Senate. 56% of the Senate is now belonging to the Republican Party, while the Democrats lost seats in states such as Wisconsin, Nevada, Florida, looks like, and New Hampshire, actually. So let's go over to politicians. Let's go to... Carlos. So we need to find our absolute esteemed senator from the state of Utah. I need to put him on my favorites. Sean Irwin. We are actually pretty high on the list of senators. Walker Herman. Where is he? Joe Felix. I'm going to go ahead and add you to my favorites. He sounds like an interesting name. We're going to follow him. We're going to find a couple of senators to actually follow during this during our tenure, actually. So let's add Isaiah Anderson, Walt Mason, and then districts, policy. All right, we need to find our esteemed senator from the state of Utah. What was that guy? Where is he? Trying to find him. Danielle Marks. Let's go ahead and follow you if you're from the esteemed state of Illinois, actually. We got Pablo de la Cruz, looks like. Seth Sharp from Georgia. Let's go ahead and follow him. Vince Stevens. And then Randolph Frederick. Sean Irwin. Guess we can't find my boy. That's unfortunate. Adjust committee membership, and then we have adjust subcommittee membership. That's actually interesting. So we can actually replace these members. Interesting. We still need to pick our own committees. Let's go over to here. Let's select our committees. So we can actually put ourselves in the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. And then we are also going to put ourselves on... let's do the Judiciary Committee. And a Judiciary Committee oversees legislation concerning federal courts and criminal justice reform. So then we can put ourselves on a subcommittee. So we can put ourselves on primary health and retirement. This is healthcare and retirement issues. It does not have jurisdiction over Medicare or Social Security because these programs contain a payroll tax component, placing them within the jurisdiction of the Finance Committee. Then we have the Employment and Work Safety Committee, which has jurisdiction over labor-related legislation such as minimum wage policy and education assistance for the unemployed. And then we have the subcommittee that has jurisdiction, which is Children and Families, and that has jurisdiction over education programs such as preschool for the economically disadvantaged, grant programs for schools, districts, and higher education grants and community college. Let's go ahead and put ourselves on the subcommittee chair for that, and then let's put ourselves on the committee for primary health and retirement security. Then we got more subcommittees to put ourselves on. Let me go ahead and I'm just reading the comments that everyone's talking about. Alright, we're actually having a gun debate. That's why no law enforcement organization supports him, not one. Don't know, are you talking about Biden? Yeah, you're probably talking about Biden. Plus, Biden already talked about defunding the police. And then, so, no police, no guns, it will be a lawless country. Kinda, but kinda not. There's a couple of places in the world where, like, there's not that many issues with the police not having guns. Like, it's not the worst thing. And they're not like more of a target than they already are, I guess. But at the same time, defunding the police just doesn't make sense. It's not okay. A lot of people are saying, well, it's calling attention to a wider issue. But at the same time, yes, I understand that you're calling attention to a wider issue, but then you're also taking resources away from the people that actually need those resources. And even, being a white liberal against defunding of police, your positions are not being supported by even the majority of African American and Latino people that are more subjected to police brutality than any other race in the United States. So the fact that people like that are constantly being subjugated to that, but then they still don't want the police to be defunded. That shows pretty big, because that means that a lot of the times I'm not saying it's not the issue, because the issue of what the police are doing is pretty bad. Let's go ahead and put ourselves on a crime and terrorism committee. Then we're going to ignore that, and we're going to go over to the next day. Vote on budget resolution. Let's do this, and let's check over the budget that is being passed in our first term in office. But Biden has said that he doesn't support defunding the police. They can restructure their budget. That is a different thing. Not really. Well, I mean, restructuring their budget, which then also would take money away from the policing, which the biggest thing is that if you're talking about it as a presidential candidate, you're basically saying I think it's basically along the lines of defunding Planned Parenthood. It's something the federal government does, but then a lot of people are just like, well, what's the reason why you're giving money to this thing? Well, it's because of this, and this. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, I guess. All right, let's go ahead and read over this. This is being proposed. This is sponsored by Connor Morozov. He's a Republican from the esteemed state of North Carolina. The budget resolution is not a law, and this is actually real guidelines on what the budget resolution is. Budget resolution is not a law. It is a congressional guideline that expresses how much the federal government should collect and spend. The resolution divides the federal budget into multiple categories and then places a limit on how much money can be spent in each of those categories. The appropriation committees use these category limits when creating appropriation bills. The bills that authorize how much money each government agency and programs can spend. So authorized revenue in this budget resolution is going to be increased by $23.6 billion at $3.69 trillion authorized revenue for the United States federal government. $1.6 trillion is coming from tax revenue. $443 billion is coming from corporate taxes. Looks like proposed Medicare payroll tax revenue is going to be $536 billion, which is actually an increase of $8.8 billion. So both of these are actually not going into the revenue. It's a part of the revenue, but these are actually completely dedicated all the way over to Medicare and then the Social Security. So these actually are not included in the money that you can actually spend. These are obviously just ways to fund these programs just through a direct payroll tax. Proposed gasoline tax revenue is going to be $53.5 billion, which is going to be a decrease of $591 million. So that's really good, actually. And then other tax revenue is going to be $33.6 billion, which is an increase or decrease of 0. And authorized expenditure is $3.5 trillion, an increase of $14.4 billion. Let's see what kind of stuff we're spending on. $583 billion, $2.2 billion being added to that. $17 million being cut from energy. Let's see what's being cut. $1.2 billion being cut from education, down from $165.5 billion. And then $82 million being cut from social services. $4.2 billion being cut from Veterans Affairs. Interesting. $210 billion being allocated over there, and $4.2 billion being reduced from this current budget deficit. And then this also eliminates the Medicaid expansion program federally. Transportation and infrastructure category, $92.6 billion, and a decrease of $382 million being cut from transportation. Let's go ahead and support this. I'm going to go ahead and support it just because it's going to be able to be along party lines. That just basically makes me likable to a lot of the Republican establishment. That's what I really need to actually be able to do things in this game. If I don't have that influence, then I'm not going to be able to get into these leadership positions and more. Once I actually get into the leadership position, then I can actually start doing whatever the hell I want. But as long as I start voting along party lines and just kind of just helping my Republican colleagues get their legislation passed, as long as I kind of agree with it, that's kind of the way I'm going to play. I talk way too much, by the way. I am so sorry. Vote on the budget conference report. So I guess it went over back over to the House. Still eliminates Medicaid expansion. So since it's going to be proposed by a Democrat. Okay, so Democrats got their hands on it and then added $10 billion to transportation. So they actually... What about Veterans Affairs? Still being cut $4.2 billion. But the Democrats seem to have put a lot of increases in here. Not as many decreases as we saw. But they actually do want to cut $10.4 billion from the from the military, actually. Financial services and taxes, $457 billion being added over there. Expenditure, $3.7 trillion, which is an increase of $175 billion. And then my revenue, $3.8 trillion, and then an increase of $191 billion. So since it's going to be proposed by a Democrat, I'm going to go ahead and oppose it. Which it still actually passes. So the budget resolution has actually been approved. Government shutdown actually avoided very closely, narrowly. The United States, I think, actually just passed something like... No, it was actually just about a stimulus package. Vote summary, let's look at the Republicans that actually crossed the aisle to actually support this budget resolution. We have Valentine Oyel from Iowa, Kyle Appleton from Montana, Horaito Papadopoulos from West Virginia, and then we have Jeremiah Macias from the state of Arizona. Then we have Connor Morozov from North Carolina, Chadwick Henry from North Dakota, and then Susan Mitchell from the state of Nevada. Looks like no Democrat actually crossed the aisle to actually vote against this legislation, but our colleague from the state of Texas, Hal Ogawa, actually voted against this legislation. So we actually voted along the lines with each other. PG is conservative, yeah. Yes, I am, but I'm actually willing. Just as Franco actually said, I am a conservative, but I actually do like to talk about things. Like, I'm not sitting here saying like liberals are the worst people in the world. No one is the worst person in the world. We all have our own opinions. We all like to talk to each other, and I like to talk to people that I disagree with. So if I have no issues with you as long as you don't have issues with me. Just because someone is a certain way and just because they view things differently than you does not mean that they are the worst person in the world. I have felt that personally, actually, because I've lost a couple of friends because of my conservative views. So it sucks whenever that happens, but it happens. People just don't want to be with people that they don't agree with, so it's all on them. So let's do committee hearing, and then we have Senate Bill 1, need-based preschool. Let's go ahead and look at it. Decreases the eligibility rate from 100% to 97.2% of the poverty level. This legislation will provide access to preschool to 1.1 million children at a cost of $8.8 billion, which is approximately 0.02% of the total federal budget. Compared to the previous policy, this legislation will decrease eligibility by 33,000 children, and then decrease the expenditure by about $256 million. So really good savings for the federal budget, I guess. $256 million is basically minimal. I mean, what, $256 million out of a cost of $8.8 billion, almost $9 billion, which is 0.2% of the federal budget. So 2.2% is 8.8, and then imagine how much that is. So that's barely even savings that we're making. The current eligibility rates are acceptable. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this bill. This proposal will decrease the number of children with access to preschool. I do not know how I will vote on this legislation. Kind of looked like as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then we have a message from party leader telling us to support Senate Bill 1 without any amendments. Let's go ahead and create an amendment. I'm going to put you at 99%. So just so there's not as many losses of people who are failing the eligibility rating, that's going to pass the, that's actually got 10 Democrats and 10 Republicans that actually crossed the aisle to support it, and then we had 3 Republicans against it, so 20-3 passes the, this passes the committee, I guess. President opposes Senate Bill 1. Is he a Republican? Everything about this legislation is repulsive. I will not be supporting this legislation. So we got messages from all of our people telling us to support Senate Bill 1. Let's go ahead and support it. And barely fails the committee. So bill made it failed to make it out of committee and will no longer have a chance to become law. I'm just a bill, and I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting on Capitol Hill. Tell me you haven't heard that song, guys. Come on. Tell me you have not heard that song about how a bill is made. Need-based school lunch program. Let's go ahead and check what the changes to this are going to be. Legislation proposals is going to be decreasing free lunch eligibility rate from 275% of the federal poverty level to 267% of the federal poverty level. Decreased reduced cost lunch eligibility from 311% to 302%. Too much money is spent on this program. Reducing eligibility will reduce a expenditure. This legislation must become law. And then this legislation denies needed nutrition from students who cannot afford to buy their own lunch. Let's go over to legislation. Let's go over to poverty. And then let's do a universal school lunch program. It's going to cost $23 billion, but it's going to be the best option instead of just spending so much money on whatever the poverty level is going to be, honestly. But it looks like Bernard Molzens has denied my bill a hearing, so that is going to be impossible for me to actually do that. Need-based school lunch program. Let's go ahead and support. Just again, we're doing this for along party lines. Hopefully it doesn't pass the House. See, sometimes you can actually do this whenever you actually have control over certain houses. Whenever the House basically is for the whenever like the House is Democratic, but then the Senate is Republican, which is honestly the very likely scenario that I've usually seen in this game. Basically, you can still vote on these and then be assured that it's basically going to fail the House, because if the House is anywhere close to split, then basically you have free reign to vote for whatever you want and then not worry about it actually becoming a federal law. So let's do that. Senate Bill 4. Senate Bill 4. I think we actually already just voted on it. Foster care. Yeah, let's go ahead and support that, except we were the only Republicans to actually cross the aisle to support it, so that sucks. Let's support it just to get that Republican likability back. Let's say no to an amendment and then just vote on it as it is. This is going to be the school breakfast program. Let's go ahead and support it, and that passes the Senate. Rural rent assistance. 98 to 99. Let's go ahead and support. Barely even fails it. 51 to 249. 5 Republicans actually crossed the aisle to actually support it. That was Jeremiah Maces, Emmanuel Jenkins, Bert Wheel, Connor Morozov, and then me, Sean Irwin from Texas. Let's go ahead and follow this guy from the state of North Carolina. This guy actually has been pretty liberal. So his name is Morozov. Connor Morozov. Let's do... There he is. Let's add him to my favorites. And let's see what's going on with my favorites right now. So Connor Morozov, he was a political scientist from 1984 to 1995, city council member for 1 term, state senator for 2 terms, U.S. representative for 2 terms, and then became a senator of North Carolina, and he is now a 2-term senator from North Carolina. His re-election is going to be in 2022. And again, senators' terms actually last 6 years. They're not 4 years or 2 years, they're 6 years. House terms are actually 4 years, or 2 years. Alright, I am back. Let's just go ahead and support it just to get that Republican support, I guess. Alright, that ends our several weeks of literally just like voting on legislation. Because IRL, the longest serving U.S. senator, had got 51 years. PG become the longest serving U.S. senator in a game. Yeah, sure. Hell yeah. So I need to find out how many terms that actually was. So that was 51 years. This guy that I actually made is age 34. So that's 30 years. I can do 64, 70, 80. I mean, can I go up that old? Who is the oldest? Who's the oldest? He is profile. He's 69. Do they usually retire as soon as they turn 70, or can I go on beyond the age of 70? Because I think 70 is literally the cap in this game. I wonder what the far future elections will look like. I mean, like spaceship future, vote this alien for president, make the galaxy safe again. Oh my god. Especially with after post-Trump, Jesus Christ. This is going to be awfully weird. Anyway, since we are now a U.S. Senator of the state of Texas, I'm going to go ahead and call this a live stream it for today. So guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Definitely going to continue this political process live stream series, so definitely I'll look forward to that. So again, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for attending this live stream today, and I will see you guys in the next one.